I ain't never missed my cue.
Hey guys, how's it going today? It's Ryan Fiterman with the Fiterman and Friends podcast. This is my co-host Manuel. Today we have the one and only Texas legend, Mr. Earl Campbell. Earl, thank you very much for being here today.
No problem. It's good to see you, man.
Yes, sir. It's good to see you too. So obviously this is Sunglass Day. Earl has his trademark shades on. I got my shades on because I had 2 eye surgeries. Manuel's just wearing his shades so he doesn't feel left
I just
out.
want to be cool.
So Earl, thank you for being here. I think we are on year 14 or 15 of working together. It's been an absolutely unbelievable journey. Per usual, we had a great signing with you today at our headquarters. So we just wanted to chat a little bit about what you're up to these days and maybe tell some funny stories of, the 14, 15 years we've been together. So what's new in Earl's world these days, sir?
Well, I think my number one priority every day is trying to stay sober and be a good guy.
Yes, sir.
Things work out pretty good for me. I live in Austin and got all these grandkids. I'm almost about to have number 7, I think. I had 6.
Wow.
Now I had a boy the other day, so that keeps us busy.
Congratulations on that. Well, I think you have the part down of being a good guy. You're still, the most iconic sports figure out of Texas ever. Obviously, we're Houston based, so the entire city always loves you. What do you think about the Titans wearing y'all's uniform the other day?
Well, I don't have a whole lot to do with that. My life is mostly less problems now. So I try. A lot of people ask me about that, but I think as far as an ex-Oiler, I think that's what Mr. Adams got down there in Tennessee, and I was honored to be there because my friend Billy Johnson was getting
Billy White Shoes.
Yeah, Billy White Shoes was getting into Hall of Honor, and I promised him I'd be there. I had a chance to go down on the field and get to know Billy a little bit better and his family, and I met the Adams. And they got a good thing going down there. But as far as the politics about them wearing the Oilers, I don't really have a dog in that fight because I played for the Houston Oilers and they the Titans. I guess they still are. They still owned by the same family. I'm like Bum Phillips. Every day I work for Bud Hours, he paid me.
Yes, sir.
So I have nothing to say bad against.
Yes, sir.
It's nice to see that the Oilers and all that is still wanted as, it's
It's got to be exciting to see it and see y'all's colors and your logo back on the field, and it's got to bring back some great memories. You did mention Bum Phillips. You were fortunate enough to grow up in Tyler, play your football in Austin in college, play your pro ball in Houston. What was it like being able to play essentially for a bunch of hometown teams where you're from, and especially playing for iconic coach Darryl Royal and then playing for iconic coach Bum Phillips?
Well, both of those guys was very good coaches, but I was a guy, I was on a mission. I knew when I came to Texas that I wanted to be an athlete and I wanted to be one of the best. And the more I got involved in it, I had a chance to meet my hero, Jim Brown, and hang around with him a lot. And he always says, "Hey, Earl, I'm first, you second." So we always had a good time about that. But talking about college and all, I was a college student for 4 years at UT. I went to school. I got a bachelor's degree in speech communication, and I'm very proud of that. I think I'm more proud of being an ex-athlete that went to the university that got an education more than anything. I mean, football was something that just kind of took care of itself, I think my mother put it very plainly when I was like 18 and I left coming to Austin to be a football player. My mother said, "Earl, you go and show people that you want to be a friend. And that way they respect you and you respect them." And it all worked out great for me. I never had problems at the university or anything. I knew what I wanted to do, and I was on that mission. And thank God I achieved that mission. But, it's no way I could sit here and talk about Darryl Rawley and Fred Akers. Air Royal and Bum Phillips without talking about the legendary Fred Akers. Fred Akers was my running back coach when I came to the university as a freshman. And I think he went to Wyoming somewhere and coached. And the best thing for me is he came back my senior year. I was wearing like 235. He took me to the top of Memorial Stadium in Cesaro. See that field down there? There's going to be a lot of people here watching you play. You get down to 225 pounds because we got something planned.
Oh, man.
And that something was letting me be in the I formation and Johnny Ham Jones. It really looked backwards because I was so much bigger than Johnny. And he was the small guy. So a lot of people thought since he was the fullback, why wasn't I the fullback and he the halfback because I was so much bigger. But
right.
he had a joke could block and that team helped me get right on in there and win the Heisman Trophy. And I think that's great, being the first winner at UT to win the Heisman. And then I get drafted. I think this guy, Alfred Jackson, and I came in as freshmen together. And Alfred asked me in that draft, so what are you doing? I said, I got to go to school because I got a test over here in the communication building. He said, man, I'm going to stay here and wait on the draft. I said, okay. So what happened, I went to school that day, and I guess I kind of forgot all about the draft, because I stayed over there till about 5 o'clock. And when I came home, Alfred said, man, this dude, Bum Phillips, been looking for you. I said, who is that? He said, man, they coached the Houston Oilers. I said, oh, yeah? He said, and you got drafted. He's looking for you. And Bum called me and said, hey.
So you were drafted and you were so focused on school that you didn't even know it?
Yes.
Holy cow.
I went to school that day. I had a test at the communication building that I got tied up over there with the students messing around. And when I came home, Alpha said, that guy Bum Phillips is looking for you. Wow. I said, what? He said, yeah, you're going to play for the Houston Oilers. And I immediately thought about, gee, we got some cousins that were Houston. They going to see me play and all that. And then I met this guy, Bum Phillips, and it was unbelievable. I think the funniest thing I have to say about Bum is Bum Phillips never knew my name was Earl Campbell. To the day he passed away, I was always EC. He used to be in that tower and he said, EC. I look up there, yes, sir. I don't care what you do, you cannot run that way. A real funny story about him, I was a rookie up in San Angelo, Texas. After practice, Bum said, hey, all the rookies go in there and lift weights. Well, I never lifted weights before.
Oh, wow.
When I was at Texas, the weight room, I think more was for the defensive linemen and those people. I go in there and mess around, joking and stuff, but I never really could say. I remember lifting 225 pounds one time when I was in high school. That's because the coach gave everybody a T-shirt that
they hit 225.
Yeah, and I did it.
So working out wasn't part of your daily regimen until you got to the NFL.
It was part of my daily regimen, but not lifting weights.
Okay.
And when Bum said for all the rookies to go in that dressing room, in the weight room, I was like, I don't know how to do that. So I did like everybody else. I left.
Wow.
Next day, he says, everybody go inside. He says, AC, you stay. I want to talk to you. He said, didn't you hear me yesterday when I said all the rookies go in there and lift weights? I said, yes, sir. He said, you didn't go. I got the paper right here. I said, I hate to tell you this, never lift weights. He said, where did all this come from? You got to be kidding me. I said, no, it's God-given. All I do is run and flexibility. Wow. But I did learn how to.
That's unbelievable.
And
that probably took you to another level.
Yeah.
So you were drafted #1 pick. Had no idea. These guys nowadays have these huge, elaborate draft parties and rent out restaurants. And Earl Campbell is at class taking care of business.
I promise you, I wanted to do something that athletes were known to do back then because college athletes had this stigma of just coming to school and being an athlete. They're dumb athletes.
Wow.
And when I got to UT, I learned how to do things, and I figured out what I wanted to do as for school. And I majored in speech communication, and it's now called the Moody School of Communication. I had a ball, man. That's what college was all about. You know, you don't have to pay no bills. You wake up every day, make up your own. You go to the dining hall, get something to eat. You don't have nothing to worry about.
So obviously, based off of what you just said, education was a huge thing for your mother and for yourself when you were picking a school to go play football at. And obviously, being from Tyler and playing in Austin was a huge priority. There had to be tons of other schools that recruited you, correct?
So many other schools, but I tell a funny story on a guy that I had a chance not only to play against, but I got to know him. And I never will forget this because when I was visiting at school, he had a SS Malibu, had big old tires on the back and a little bit of tires in the front. That guy was named Greg Pruitt.
Okay.
He played for the Cleveland Browns, but before that, he played for University of Oklahoma. So Coach Switzer had me up there talking to me about this and all that. And that sounded good, but I really thought I belonged in Texas. My whole life was like a Texan. So Greg was going across the campus that day, and I met him. And I never will forget because you remember when guys used to wear a belt and they would tie their books up. And
Yes, sir.
I never
Before
will
they had a
forget.
backpack.
Yes, he was like that. And he said, "You know what, man?" I said, "Yeah, it's good to meet you. But you're a Texan. You belong in Texas." And, he was right.
What are your thoughts nowadays, and how differently would your recruiting have been if the NIL deals and everything that comes with that was in place when you played? Like, do you think it would have changed where you went to school, or was it so instilled in you that education was such a priority that it would, and being home essentially from Tyler to Austin, would it have changed where you played if the business aspect of college sports and the NIL approval was implemented in the 70s?
No, I don't think that would have had anything to do with me as far as going to college. I tell you what, and a lot of people wouldn't believe this, but I said, before I went to bed that night, I said my prayers and I said, God, if I sleep, I go to Oklahoma. If I get up to use the bathroom, I go to Texas.
Wow.
It was just like that. And I got up and I went to Texas. But
That's
as far
incredible.
as the guys getting paid money for playing college football now, the only thing I have to say is that my mother's house would have been paid for as a freshman or a sophomore instead of me having to wait till Bud Adams to pay me. And then I paid her note,
Yes, sir.
But I think it's great that the athletes are getting paid now. I wish, though, that people would get involved and let them know that that's not everything, getting paid to play college sports. The main thing about college sports to me is that, number one, you enjoy college because it's only like once in a lifetime deal.
It's only a couple years in your whole
And the
life.
other thing, no matter what you do on the football field, or basketball court, or track, baseball, whatever you do, you should try your best to get you an education because when you start having children, like I have Christian and I have Tyler, and I have like now 6 grandkids and a girl on the way, that'll be 7. So my boys asked me one time when they was in high school or junior high, "Hey, Dad, what do we do when we go to school?" And I said, "When you get out of school, you're supposed to high school. You're supposed to go to college and get an education." See, their dad's right there. So what is that? I said, "I got a degree in communication." And really, it says a degree from the University of Texas School of Communications, not Moody, but School of the Communication back then. And my kids kind of got in that, and they went to school. They got an education. My son Tyler went to San Diego, and he got an education. And my son Christian went down to South Carolina. He needs a few hours to graduate, but at least they had something a dad that set an example. You know what I mean? Because what if I'd had some girls? I would have told them the same thing. And on top of that, my kids went to school with people and they say, what are you this and that about their dad? But they could also say, my dad graduated from Texas, and y'all just talk football.
Yes, sir.
But that's the most proudest thing my dad is proud of is getting an education. And I have 11 kids in my family because when my dad passed away, I was in the the 5th grade. My oldest brother was 18 or 19 years old. And the baby was, just about maybe a year old, maybe. So the one thing, my mother raised all of us by herself and the good Lord, and she worked. But the one thing she did do, she still in her children, you're just as good as everybody else. It's no different. And the one thing she always told me was, Earl, I don't know what it is, but you're just different from that all my kids. But I had goals in my own heart that I wanted to do, and I didn't talk about it. I wanted to do it. It was a guy on my team named Rick Ingram. And me and Rick still friends to this day. So Rick used to joke with all the guys on the team, and he'd say, hey, y'all had to do this. Y'all brought this to college. I knew a guy came to the university and unpacked his clothes in 5 minutes. They were saying, who did that? He said, that guy right there, Earl Campbell. He came to school with 2 brown paper bags, had Brookshire grocery stores. That's how I came to college. But I didn't get wrapped up in all that other stuff. I wanted to be Earl. I wanted to be successful. And I believe, thanks to the good Lord, I happened to do it my way.
Yes, sir. Well, one of the things, it's always been amazing to work with, the legendary football player, right?
Yes.
But one thing that I've been so fascinated about with you working with you and traveling the country with you over the past 15 years is it's always been a main focus of yours from the first day I met you until a conversation we had a few moments ago of simply being a good person, a good role model, treating people the right way. Obviously, listening to you the past few minutes, family is the most important thing. And I think that's lost in not just society today, but in sports and with the pro athletes. That's one of the things I've looked up to you as not just a person, but now a businessman, which you've helped me grow. And you kind of put me on the map 15 years ago. And now you're always on my butt about family man, being a dad, spending time with the kids, not missing out on stuff. So
it takes a lot to, being Earl Campbell, but there is somebody that always got to be like leader, to keep us everything together. And I think as far as those 6 brothers and 4 sisters I have, the person that does everything Mom would have done was my baby sister Margaret, right? She keeps that entire all together. She goes out of her way. And when it comes to my family, I've been with the same lady for, I think March will be 43 years.
Oof. Congratulations.
Since the 9th grade. So that is, if there's such things as grounded or somebody that's willing to tell you the ups and downs and you have to take it, is Miss Renee Campbell.
Yes,
that's
sir.
my wife. And when it gets to you, I remember when I was doing autograph and you was the poor guy. You was pulling the pictures.
I was just a volunteer, just helping pull the jerseys.
And you had these 2 little old nephews, a cousin and your dad. And I would say, man, every time I see you pulling, when you going to start your own thing?
Yes, sir.
Thank God you did it, and look at you now. But it's amazing in life. We all start out even at doing different things. But as far as I'm concerned, some go ahead and they go and do their thing and they get bigger than ever. That kind of happened to me. But the one thing I always try to remember is there was somebody here before you got here, and there's going to be somebody here when you go. And I think the legendary Jim Brown, because I spent a whole bunch of time with Jim. And the one thing he would make clear, he's first, I'm second. But he said, Earl, I'm going to tell you something, man. Always try to leave it better than it was. You know, that running back position, leave it better than when. And I used to wonder what he was talking about. And as I got older, I understood what he was talking about. But the good Lord really plays a big part in my life. I'm a son seeking for grace like everybody else. I've had my ups and downs in life. And when I left here, going to work for the university after pro football, I got involved in these injuries, you know, and I had to go see this doctor. I had to go see this doctor. So I decided to drink a little Budweiser every now and then. And then I decided, you know, a shot of tequila would be nice. And Miss Cameron was on me about that, but really sad one day when these children you done raised to be upstanding young men, right? They have to say, hey, Dad, you come here. I'm saying, wait, what is this? You sit down right down in that chair. And I'm sitting there, and Christian says, Tyler, you tell him. Tyler says, no, Christian, you tell him. Christian, no, Tyler, you tell him. Tyler, it's okay, I tell him. Hey, Dad, you drinking all that beer and that tequila and you taking pain pills? You know better than that. So what we're going to do is, come Monday morning, we got something for you. I said, shit, this is my house. What are you boys talking about? I said, no, Dad, listen. You're going to go to rehab and you're going to get your stuff straight.
Wow.
And man, to have two children you raised that we don't do that in this house, they have to tell you about that, right? So I go to rehab. I'm in there, and I didn't have to leave Austin. I went to South Austin. So one Sunday, my daughter-in-law at that time, I had one daughter-in-law, and her name is Shayna. So Shayna and her husband come over to the rehab, Tyler, my son. So Tyler's in there messing around, and he's talking, and he said one thing, say, Dad. I said, yeah, you think you done help some people. Wait till you get out of here. He was right.
That's what I was just about to say is, you know, you've always been a family first person. You've always really, really focused on your image, which is something you still focus on today.
Yeah.
When we were talking about other athletes who don't necessarily take that. But you took a negative and you took potentially the lowest point in your life. Fast forward to today, which is how many years now?
15 years.
Which is unbelievable, 15 years sober. But you took a negative and the potentially worst part of your life. You turned it into something positive and turned it into one of the greatest comebacks possible. And I've been with you almost 15 years. In over 15 years, you've changed more people's lives and impacted more people's lives and helped save their lives, essentially, by doing something that doesn't even have to do with football.
It's important that people that I realized a long time ago that, you know, certain things going to happen to you in life, but that don't mean that you have to stop doing what you're doing. You just got to correct whatever was going wrong with you. And that's what I thank God was able to do. And I do something every day at lunch, just about. I do something every day at 8 o'clock, just about. And those are what you call Zoom meetings. Sometimes I go on Zoom. Sometimes I go to Northern, where I see a lot more of my friends. But just because of that addiction I had and all, that doesn't make a man or break a man. It's what you're willing to do about it. And thank God, the most important people to me was Miss Campbell and those two boys. And they treated me just the same, and they encouraged me, and they was right. Tyler was right. After I got it right, I was able to help a lot of people, and that's what life's about.
Yes, sir. You make yourself more relatable by being honest and open enough with yourself that you had at the time a problem that a lot of people in America and around the world had.
That's right.
And instead of looking at it as a negative, you transitioned it into one of the best things you've ever done in your life. And now you've helped thousands and thousands
I'm going
of people.
to be in Vegas during the Super Bowl. And one of the things, I'm not that interested in going to see a football game, but I mean, it's nice to be around. You see some Eric Dickerson, you see some of your buddies and all these Billy Sims. You see a lot of guys, Marcus Allen. So it's nice to do that. But what I'm really going there for is something called, now remember Super Bowl. What I'm interested in is something called Sober Bowl.
Oh, wow.
And it's a young lady from Houston, and her name is Stacy. And she runs that. And I hope I did her name justice. She runs the Super Bowl.
That's incredible.
So she's got myself and some other people, and we're going to be out there. And what happens is we hopefully raise a lot of funds. And what we're able to do is, for instance, like Randall Cunningham. They used to play for Philadelphia, right?
Yes, sir.
He has a church there, right? So I've introduced Stacy to him because Randall may have somebody in his congregation that needs some help, but maybe they don't have the funds.
Yes, sir.
So out of all those funds we raise in Las Vegas, we don't take any back to Texas. We don't take any of them back to Atlanta or Stacy live. We leave it all in Vegas.
That's
and
incredible.
We are able to help somebody. Randall Cunningham may know that goes to his church. He may know somebody that needs some help, or he's in the community. He knows somebody, so we leave all the funds in Las
That's
Vegas.
incredible. So a lot of people are going to the Super Bowl to party in Vegas, and Earl's going there to the Sober Bowl to try to continue to touch lives and help more people than you could imagine. That's right. Incredible.
I think this, Ryan, you're talking, but you have done really great, man. What are the boys in? How old are they?
My nephews, they're like 12 and 14 now.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you for the compliment, by the way. The youngest, my youngest nephew, Bennett, is he's kicking butt playing baseball. And the oldest is a freshman, and he like accidentally discovered he's like a swimming like protege.
Yeah.
I mean, his body is like Michael Phelps. I mean, he looks and tries to swim just like him. So,
well, you tell them I said we at the University of Texas are kind of like the Marines. We just need a few more good men.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, I want my kids to go to UT. And so if my nephews could go to UT, that would be absolutely unbelievable. So, Earl, at UT, you had the number 20.
Yes.
Okay. You get drafted. You're the number one pick. Manuel.
So you come to Houston. Obviously, let's start with the Astrodome. When you get there, what were your first impression of playing in a dome, and any fun memories of you playing at the Astrodome?
Well, I think I would go back to high school, because when I was in high school in 1973 or 74, we played a school called Austin Reagan.
Okay.
For the state championship. Had it in a place called Astrodome.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And we were just country kids. We come down here from Tyler on the bus, and our coaches is this. We got a hold of Reagan out there, and we went, wow, man, we beat them. We had fun. I think there's one thing I'll always remember about the Astrodome as long as I live. That was my first opportunity to meet Darryl Royal. And I was getting undressed. So these two guys, and one of them had on a real nice leather coat and an apple hat like Soul Brothers wore back then. And that guy was Joe Jamel. So I had my back turned, and I'm pulling out these shoulder pads, and I hear somebody say, "Oh, look at that body." I said, hey, guys. They said, "Well, settle down." I said, wait, no, we're not like that. We just admire how you are built. My name is Darryl Royal. So bad, good to meet you. And I really wasn't paying that Coach Roy much attention, because I was looking at that guy with that black leather jacket on and that apple hat. That guy was Joe Jamel. And lo and behold, when I got to Texas, I began to find out who that was, and he was my lawyer up until about 10, maybe 15 years before he passed. Then he turned me over to his son named Dar. So I work with Dar now. I did all this, and all that happened because I went to the University of Texas and I met those people, but I just wanted to be the best at what I do. I had 11 kids. I know I couldn't dance, I couldn't sing, but I know one thing. When I watched that tape with Jim Bryant and saw him going just straight ahead, that's what I want to do.
You knew that was your calling.
That was me.
So how'd you go from like a sports fun fact? How'd you go from number 20 at UT to number 34 when you came here to Houston?
Well, one day after I got drafted, I came back down here, and Bum wanted to talk to me. So we was up in the office talking to him, and he said, we're going down on the field. We went down there on Main Street, and he talked to me because that's where our facility was. And we came in the back door, and when you come out the field, you come through the back door of the Aldersdale dressing room. And Bum was talking to me, and he had a long cowboy boots on and hard to get up. And he said, you know what? I said, yeah, we got to do one thing now. I said, yeah, what's that? He said, we got to pick out a number for you, and I know you understand. It's a guy that have number 20. I said, yeah. He said, we can do everything you want to get that number. I said, no. I says, that's that man's number.
Oh,
He
wow.
said, what now? I said, yeah, that's that man's number. Whoever it is, got it. And it turned out that guy that had that number was named Bill Carrier. He played strong safety. And Bob said, we can get that for you. I said, no, that's not that important. That's that man's number. He says, I can get it. I said, no. He said, well, listen here. How about this right here? And it was a thing athletes know when you get all undressed and stuff, you throw your old dirty clothes in there, and this guy that responsible for that, he watches and had everything else back out. So that when it happened, I guess he had just washed everything. Because when I told Bob, I said, no, that's that man's number. I said, oh yeah, Bob, let me tell a coach, I say, a jersey don't make touchdowns. He said, huh? I said, jersey don't make you touchdowns. He said, okay, how about this one? And he threw number 34 all over my face. And I looked at it. I said, oh yeah, this okay.
Wow.
That's how I ended up with
So you're
34.
so humble. You're like, I don't care. I'm thankful to play here.
Yeah.
Let him have his number. I'm just here to play ball. I don't care what's on my shirt.
And what happened was, it was a known fact that this guy, Dorsett, that played for the Dallas Cowboys, he had number 33, but he paid a guy on the Dallas Cowboys $20-some thousand for that number.
A lot of money back then.
Yes. And I just had all that. No, I don't need to buy nothing. I need a jersey. Give me one. And he said, gave me that. He said, well, here, how about this one? It was still warm. And I think about that all the time because there's a great picture of a guy named Walter Payton. We paid them in Chicago.
That's exactly what me and you was about to bring up.
That great picture everybody sees. What happened is Vernon Perry, Robert Brazile, and Leon Gray, they all played on the team Walter played on in Jackson State. So during that week, we were going to pay them. So I said, hey, tell me something about that Walter Payton. And Brazile would tell me more, and they would say this. And when the game was over, after we beat them up there, he came over and congratulated me. I said, yeah, man, nice to meet you. And what everybody wouldn't think is what we are laughing about is, I said, Robert Brazile told me that coach used to hit you with that newspaper when you went. He said, yeah. So that was the conversation.
And that's become a very iconic photo. It's one of our, we get signed and top sellers, but yeah, the photographer captured that moment, and it's just an iconic.
We were just talking.
Walking off Soldier Field, right? And
we
you both have the 34s.
Yes.
That's incredible.
But that's how I ended up with that number. And I think I was right, too. Jersey don't make you test it.
You are right. You're still right to this day, sir.
But so it was fun.
Number 34, you ended up being probably the best player ever to play in Texas, definitely to play in Houston. Now, staying on the topic of the number 34, there's also two other iconic gentlemen that you share the number with who are great, again, like you, great role models on the field, great role models off the field, definitely all staples in Houston. When did you guys realize, hey, we're all greats, we're all in the same city, and we all got the same number? How did, like, it obviously sounds like it was a coincidence.
I don't really think I understood until this autograph thing started kind of getting bigger and bigger. And my wife, I don't even think she knew, but she would talk about, oh, we got Akeem Elijah one with this, because she went down when I was going to school. She was a nurse. Well, I was playing football. She was a nurse in Tyler. And
your wife went to U of H, right?
Yes.
And for the record, his wife is a huge basketball fan, correct?
Man, she loved it. And she just, I don't know, somehow and she got we got a dream like this, Elijah one she would be talking about. And then one time I was somewhere and this guy put a picture down in front of me.
So he's no longer with us.
Yes, right.
His name is Robert Hurst.
Yes.
Rest in peace. Good friend of mine from Austin.
Yes.
I believe you are absolutely correct in the fact that he essentially created the first 34s, Houston 34s piece. It was an iconic painting.
That's when I really figured out that, hey, Nolan Ryan was 34. Elijah was 30. I was 34. And it just something started out kind of like as a picture.
Yes, sir.
But then, when all three of you guys in the same room, it's kind of unbelievable, and I've done that a couple of times with both of them.
It did start with Robert Hurst's piece, and then he presented me with the idea when I got into the autograph world. And then thanks to you, I don't remember the year, but I was the first one, again, because of you pushing me and helping me and giving me the opportunity. I was the first one to put a piece together and have all three of you guys sign it and put that out on the market. And then after years of trying and convincing Nolan, January 2020 was the first time anyone was ever able to have the three of you, meaning Earl, Hakeem, and Nolan, together at a sports memorabilia convention for the fans, for the city of Houston. And it accidentally happened, but it ironically happened. I think it was almost 30-something years. I mean, the day was magical. The city of Houston went crazy, and having the three of you guys together at one time was unbelievable. But I guess to answer the question, it was a pure coincidence that the three of you legends all had the number 34 in the city of Houston. So Earl's cleared it up for the record.
And I used to watch both of them guys, and it didn't even dawn on me that we are 3 wore 34. I just, Nolan Ryan was the biggest thing, and then Elijah one, he was big. We was all having fun as being athletes, but I never really thought that, hey, that's 34 right there. And then you put us all together, and Robert Hurst had the picture. It was a great day.
Yes,
but you're right, those guys are really good people to be around, And somebody asked me, can you tell me where you were the day that you heard about Kobe Bryant? I said, yes, I can.
Yes,
and he said, well, tell us. I said, well, I was with Fiterman, and we were signing these autographs at that by Mickey Gill. They said, Mickey Gill? I said, yeah. And you know who else was there? I said, Nolan Ryan. And Elijah was at that.
Yeah, it was the day Kobe passed away.
Yes. Rudy Tom Denham.
Yeah, it was the first time anyone's ever had the 334s together. You said Mickey Gilly because it was in Pasadena, which is where the original Gillies was. And I remember Rodman walks in the building and he's bawling, crying. He's an emotional guy to begin with. And I was like, Dennis, what's wrong? He grabs me, he puts his arm around my shoulder. He said, Kobe just died in a helicopter. And at first it didn't seem real. then everyone's phone's blowing up from the TMZ alerts and social media. We kind of legitimized the information. I came and told you. Obviously,
was there too.
Rudy Tomjanovich had to leave.
Well, yeah, Hakeem was very close to him because he actually trained him a lot here in Houston at his house. They call the Dream Ranch. Rudy was close to him because Rudy left Houston, the Rockets, and then was with the Lakers. So yes, that was an unbelievable day, and fortunately, that happened, but we were together on the day we had the 34th together.
A great athlete.
Another one of my favorite stories with you, and tying in us working together in the sports memorabilia conventions. I remember, 12 plus years ago. I don't know where I got the idea from, but I asked you if we could do the appearance with your Heisman Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, "Are you out of your mind?" And I said, "Why, sir?" You said, "That Heisman Trophy is at my mama's house.
Yes.
And it's never left."
Been there since 1970.
I said, "Well, no pressure, but I think it would be a historic moment." Somehow you decided to give me the opportunity to do this. You drove to Houston. It was in your hotel room. You called me up there. You said, "Ryan, this has never left my mama's house. I don't want it in the hotel room."
Yeah.
And you told me to take it home. And I said, "Take home your Heisman Trophy?" You said, "Yes, take it home. I trust you with it. It better be in one piece tomorrow." I was so dang nervous. The only thing I could think of was when I put it in my car was to strap the seatbelt on. I didn't want it to roll around.
And when you had the Heisman, I came from Huntsville, Texas. And I stopped up there to do Wounded Warriors.
Yes, sir. You've done this for years, which is amazing.
And this is about my 14th or 15th year. And the people that run that is a guy named Tom Fordyce. Well, Fordyce used to work at Huntsville Prison, and I used to go up there with a guy named Westbrook that was a minister, and I used to talk to the inmates and stuff with him. So I met Fordyce. Fordyce and I get to be friends. He tells me, and he doesn't know my name is Earl Campbell. He's Big Earl. Big Earl. I said, "Yeah, man." He said, "I don't do this deal out in Huntsville, and I got to have you here because your daddy was in the service." And I said, "Yes, my dad was." And what happened was my dad was in World War II, and we left my mom with these 11 kids. But my mom had a little help because my dad went to the service. All the kids in the family would get a little check as long as they went to school.
Wow.
So my mother got a little check for me and my twin brothers, which is Steve and Tim, because we went to the University of Texas, right? So she got that check until I left college. Well, everybody kind of gets grown at a certain point and they leave. But back to Fordyce, what I was doing when you got the Heisman, when I leave here, I'm on my way to Huntsville to do Wounded Warriors tonight.
That's incredible. And yes, I've been with you many years when you've had to go to this event. And again, as we spoke about earlier in the day, it's one of the things that I continue to find fascinating with you as a person, as a sports icon, is you continue to give back, you continue to change lives, you continue to help people. You're going to go tonight and speaking to the ex-military, 600 plus people. It just continues to grow that one of the main things that you focus on is giving back and helping people. And I just think that's unbelievable what you continue to do.
We have to do that because, see, I learned it from somebody, and somebody's learned it from me, and it's got to keep going because I refuse to believe that it's not good people in America still.
Yes, sir.
I can't say Switzerland. I can't say Japan. Never been there. But between Tyler and New York, I believe there's some good people in America.
Yes, sir. So if you treat people right, maybe they'll treat somebody else right.
That's right.
And it's easier to be kind to somebody than continue to put the energy into being negative or being mean to them.
And one time my mother told me, and I'll never forget this because One day I graduate from the University of Texas. I get in my car and I drive to Tyler, Texas the next day, right? It's my rookie year. I missed everything in Houston. After I go back to university to get my degree and everything. So my mom's living in the house that I built for her. So when I came in, it was an empty couch. So I just flopped down on the couch that night and went to bed. But there was a window up here in the kitchen where she could look at everybody in the dining room. So I was up there. I had just woken up. I had the blanket and everything. I was just, and my sister Evelyn, bless her heart, who's deceased now, she says, Earl. And I mean, I had just woken up and I was just kind of messing around. And then she was saying, these people really want you. I said, damn, don't y'all think I get tired of that? And my mother said, son, sign that autograph for those people because it don't take a lot to be nasty to people. It takes a lot to be nasty.
Yes, sir.
So I've understood over the years is I don't like working myself up to get mad because you got to work yourself down to be happy again. So I just try to stay fit.
That will work.
I love it. So Earl, my last question for you today, you've obviously been extremely successful on the field. You've been extremely successful off the field. So whether it's a young kid who wants to go be an athlete, whether it's a young person leaving school to go be an entrepreneur, what's your one piece of advice to tell the world on whether you want to be a top athlete, whether you want to, achieve goals and start your own company? If you could sum it all up, what's the one piece of advice you would pass on to people?
It's a lot of hard work to be the best. I'm not talking about the best as an athlete. It takes a great person and a great individual to be able to separate sports from business and all that. But it takes a special human being to know how to handle different situations. And you got to do those things because that's part of what life is about. God gave all of us a talent. Some of us, he gave it more. If we were able to listen to our parents, to what they told us, and I try to tell my children, I'm going to tell you something bad? No, I'm going to try to do is tell you the best of what's right and what's wrong. And now after I tell you, it's up to you how you use that. But to be the best, it takes a lot of hard work. I don't care if you're throwing paper. Be the best paper boy.
Yes, sir.
If you're going to be an athlete, be the best. If you're going to be be the best at it. I'm telling you, whatever you do in life, it takes a lot of hard work.
Yes, sir. Well, today's been amazing. And Earl, I can't ever thank you enough for what you've done for me and my family the past 15 years. You put me on the map and pushed me to be better in the autograph space. We've had an unbelievable relationship the last 15 years. You've helped me grow and exceed in many ways as a person, a businessman, as a father. Today, visiting with you has been incredible. I continue to thank you for the opportunities you give me. Thank you again for visiting with us today. Earl, I love you to death. You're the best. Today was awesome. I appreciate everything. Thank you for doing this for me.
Oh, great. We'll do it again when you have time.
Yes, sir. We'll have a safe trip up to Huntsville to visit the Wounded Warriors. And we hope to have you here back on the show again.